okay? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you didn't recline enough last night? You heard who?
There's something going wonky with the sound again. I don't know what is up. Could you, unless you turned it off.
Okay.
Able to call on the newcomers that are here today, friends, for teaching us Torah, giving us a drash. You, Rafa, and for us today. You won't be left to sign up. We'll be like.
Do we have the right siddur? Is this the right siddur?
No, it's the big one. No.
Thank you, Rabbi. Anyway, of the songs that I added, I just started off. Like I found a new one. Yeah. But the thing is that they're funny, but they say what they need to say. So it's there's one called Parsley Green, which is Dancing Queen. So Dancing Queen. You know, the ABBA song. So as soon as we got over to the table, like people were like, "How long is it going to go?" And we start off with Parsley Green because we just did that, and then I decided, like, besides like the Haggadah we used, we did like the 4 questions. We did Avadinu. I said that's the first question and answer. Does that really answer the question that was asked? No. Like review what the answers are. We did 4 children. Yeah, but then I stopped, and then it was all songs because the next part of the Martin was all telling the story. So we told the story through the songs I had. So it worked. Excellent. I know my daughter back. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, DC area. Yeah. So cool that she moved to the area. It's so cool she moved to the area. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say fine. Oh, really?
Aw. Which matchup do you want to do?
Well,
You don't have to listen. This was if I was going to be.
Yeah, it's totally up to you. We can do the short one, we can do the long one. It's up to you. Right. We can end with Olam Chesed.
Welcome, Chag Sameach, everybody. We're going to get started, as is our festival minhag, to start a little bit late. Welcome, friends who are here in the Zoomiverse and in the YouTuberverse. We're glad that you are here with us at all. You're helping us make a minyan this morning. We so appreciate that. Oh, everyone is tired this morning. A little or a lot. And you know what? We're free to be tired this morning. That's the truth. We're free to be tired. We're free to be awake. we get to choose. And you made the choice to come here, which is awesome and very, very, very delightful, because otherwise it wouldn't be very festival at all, festive. We're going to go to page 418 this morning. Welcome, everybody. We're glad you're here. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkerotecha Yisrael. Let's keep it going a little bit. Ma tovu ohatov Yaakov mishkerotecha Yisrael. Yisrael. V'ani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim berov chastecha. Aneni be'emet Yisrael. Oh, it is so good. It really is so nice to be together. We're going to go to page 421. Beginning, Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, Adonai. However, I understand you, God. May I thank you this morning for my life, my body and soul, my name, my gender, my way of thinking and speaking. Help me realize that I am something new, someone who never existed before, someone original and unique in the world. For if there had ever been someone like me, there would have been no need for me to exist. Baruch atah Adonai rofech kol basar umafli la'asot. Blessed are you, God, mystery, who makes all flesh find wellness again. Elohai neshama shenatata bi, page 422. Now we turn into the soul. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. 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 Let our souls evolve higher from instinct to inspiration, haughtiness to holiness, selfishness to service, to join with the soul of souls, the infinite one. Baruch atah Adonai asher b'yado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol nisar ish.
We continue with the morning blessings on page 424. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan tzevivina lehachin ben yom uvein laila.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivri.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gad.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish harumim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten laya'ef koach.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavir shenai meinai utnumame avapai.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzelem Elohim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani bat horim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozei Yisrael bigvura.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Oter Yisrael betifara.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
V'ha'arevna Adonai Eloheinu et divrei Toratecha b'finu v'fi amcha b'it Yisrael, O Adonai. Our God, let the words of Torah mingle, really, with the words that are our words in our mouths already, and the mouths of all people, Israel, all people seeking, searching, and wrestling with you this day, so that we, our descendants and the descendants of all, may know you by studying your Torah for its sake. Blessed are you who teaches Torah to our people, Israel. Now let's study a little.
Elu divarim she'ein lahem shior, she'adam ochel perotehem ba'olam hazeh, והקרן קיימת לו לעולם הבא, ואלו הן כיבוד אב ואם וגמילות חסדים, והשכמת בית המדרש שחרית בערבית, והכנסת אורחים וביקור חולים, והכנסת כלה וביית המת ועיון תפילה, והבאת שלום בין אדם לחברו, ותלמוד תורה כנגד כולם.
We move forward in our prayer book, page 438, 438.
Baruch Shamar v'haya olam.
Baruch hu.
Baruch Oseh Bereshit.
Baruch ve'oseh.
Baruch Oseh u'mekayem.
Baruch emal haaretz.
Baruch merachem al habriot.
Baruch mishalem sachar tov liream.
Baruch chai la'ad v'kayam lanetzach.
Baruch podeu matzil. Baruch Shemo. Page 441. מזמור שלי יום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסידיך, באמונה תוכה בלילות, בלילות עליה, אסור ועלה, נעלה, היגיון בכינור, בכינור, מזמור שיר, יום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, כי שמחתני, אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידך רנן, מה גדלו מעשיך, אדוני מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך, מזמור שלי יום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. צדיק אתה מר יפרח כארז בלבנון יזכה, שתולים בבית אדוני בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו, עוד ינבון בשיבה תשנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיג ישר אדוני צורי, ולא עוולה תבוא. page 442. Chant responsibly.
Ashrei Oshrei V'techa Od Yalelucha Selah.
Ashrei Am Shadon Lo, Ashrei Am Shadon Elohim.
Tehillah LeDavid, Aromim Chalohai HaMelech, Vavarcha Shimcha Leolam Va'ed.
B'chol yom avarcheka, v'alelah shimcha leolam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai Umkulal Me'od, V'lidulato Ein Cheker.
דור לדור ישבח מעשיך, וגבורותיך יגידו.
Hadar Kivod Chodecha, V'divrei Niflotech Asicha.
ועזוז נורותיך יאמרו, וגדולתך אספרנה.
Zecher Rav Tuvcha Yabiu, V'tzidkotcha Yeranenu.
חנון ורחום אדוני, ערך אפיים וגדל חסד.
Tov Adonai Lakol, V'rachamav Al Kol Ma'asav.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך.
Kevod Malchutcha Yomeru, Ugvuratcha Yedaberu.
להודיע לבני אדם גבורותיו, וכבוד הדר מלכותו.
Malchutcha Malchut Kol Olamim, Umemshaltecha Bechol Dor Vador.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים.
Einecho Elecha Yisaberu, V'ata Noten Lahem Et Ochlam B'ito.
פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל חי רצון.
Tzadik Adonai Bechol Derachav, V'chasid Bechol Ma'asav.
קרוב אדוני לכל קוראיו, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
Ritzon Yireav Ya'aseh, Ve'et Shavatam Yishma V'yoshem.
שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל הרשעים ישמיד.
Tehillat Adonai Yedaber Pi, Vivarech Kol Basar Shem Kodsho Le'olam Va'ed. Anachnu Nivarech Ya, Me'ata Ve'ad Olam, Hallelujah.
So just a moment to consider. Last night, we sang some Hallel, right? We'll sing it again today. And every morning we come together on Shabbat and every other day of the week. But on Shabbat for us, we sing hallelujahs and we are singing words of praise, but only in the Seder do we start the Hallel and then stop and take a break and eat and do other stuff and then come back to it. Only during the Pesach Seder. And I was really considering this idea that it was so important to the rabbis, first of all, that there be compromise. It doesn't work for everybody to do Hallel after dinner. Some people want to do Hallel before dinner. So that was one reason. But in addition to that praise can't wait is another message. It's hard, like very hard to just praise for the sake of praise. It's hard for us. We don't even know what the Noah, Lisa, we don't even know what the heck we're talking about when we say praise most of the time, but it is essential that we discover it. And in the Seder, we get this bizarre message from our sages that it's so important that it's even all right if it's not done correctly, if it's not done in one whole embrace, but if we split it up because it's that essential. So I just am lifting that up this morning. Where is praise in you that can be true for you? Where praise doesn't feel like a word that belongs to someone else, but is yours. Think about it and chant with me. Hallelujah, 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 because hallelujah, hallelujah, birki auzo, hallelujah, 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 bigevurata, hallelujah, hallelujah, bigevurata, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. וכשובר, הללו, הללו, בנבל וכינור. הללויה, 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 הללו, הללו, בטוב ומחול ומחול. הללו, הללו, במירי בעוגה. הללויה, 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 הללו, הללו, בציר תלמה. הללו, הללו, בציר תלנו. כל הנשמה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, כל הנשמה תהלליה. הללויה, הללו, הללויה, 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 הללו, הללו, הללויה. נשמת קולך תברך את שמך, את שמך אדוני אלוהינו, ורוח כל בשר תבעט רומם זכרך מלכנו תמיד, מן העולם ועד העולם אתה אין לנו מלך אלא אתה. Let the soul of everything alive bless your name, Adonai. And the spirit of all flesh glorify, exalt you, exalt your name forever. Just take a few moments to pass through some of these texts for yourself. See what speaks to you. בתעצומות עוזך גדול לכבוד שמך הגיבור לנצח והנורא בנורותיך. המלך היושב כליסא רם ונישא, שוכינה עד מרום וקדוש שמו, וכתוב עלינו צדיקים באדוני. ובמקלות רביבות עמך בית ישראל, ברינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור. Top of page 450 we meet together. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ. כי לך נאה אדוני אלוהינו ולא אוהב אותנו ואמותינו, שירו שוח הלל וזמרה עוזום של הנצח גדולה וגבורה, תהילה ותפארת קדושה ומלכות, ברכות והודאות מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה מלך אל העולמים. If you're able, we invite you to rise, page 451. יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה, ולמד ברכותיה והמליך מלכותיה בחייכון ובמחול ובחי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יש מרבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויבעט נאמן ותעשה ותתר ותעלה ויתהלל שמדו קודשה, בריחו לאל עמים כל בית חטא ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירה בעולמה, ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
לעולם ועד. Page 454, 55. In the beginning, even then, a new light was sown for the righteous. Promise that your light would become the catalyst, first for order and then for hope. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uboreh choshech, oseh shalom boreh את הכה once more. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצר אור ובורא שלום ובורא, עושה שלום ובורא. אור חדש על ציון תאיר ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורות, ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות. אהבה רבה אהבתנו, page 456. אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ויתרה חמלת עלינו. בעבור אבותינו ואימותינו שיבטחו בך ותלמדם חוקי חיים, כן תכוננו ותלמדנו, המרחם עלינו, תן בליבנו להבין ולהשכיל, לשמוע, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה, והאר עינינו בתורתך, והלך ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל, לעולמי בשם קודשך הגאון הנורא, פתחנו לריסך נגילה ונשמחה והביאנו לשלום ארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו, כי אל פועל ישועות אתה ובנו בחרת, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול לסלע באמת, להודותך ויחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, דם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Page 462.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורתם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית uritem oto, uzchartem et kol mitzvot Adonai, ve'azitem otam, velo taturu, al charei lebavchem, ve'acharei enechem, asher atem zonim, achareihem, leman tizkeru, ve'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim lelohechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihiot lachem lelohim, ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, emet.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai, that wherever we are, it can be and sometimes feels like it will be eternally Egypt, that there is a better place even as we sit into that awareness, a promised land, and that the winding way to that promised land has to pass through all this other stuff, through this wilderness. But there's no way for us to get from there to there without each other. That's this text for us. Page 466. Mi chamocha bairim Adonai. Mi chamocha nedar bakodesh. Nora tehilot usefere shira chadasha shibechu geulim leshimecha ar sifatayan yachad kulam hodu ve'imlihu ve'yameru Adonai yimloch le'olam ha'ed. If you are able, we invite you to find your way back to rising up on your feet. Tzur Yisrael kuma be'ezrat Yisrael ufidechinu mecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael go aleinu Adonai tziraot shemo kedosh Yisrael baruch et Adonai Gal Yisrael. So as we enter into our tefillah, we pivot now into a new season of the natural world as well as spiritually. That is the season away from Geshem and into Tal, into the dewy time of year where we have just enough moisture, but not too much. And so there'll be a moment in the middle of our second bracha, our second prayer, where we'll take a moment to insert some special blessing for Pesach. Together on page 468, sorry.
Adonai sefatay tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Adonai sefatay tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el hagadol hagibor v'hanora El Elyon Gomel chasadim tovim V'konei hakol V'zocher chastei avot v'imahot Umevi geula livnei v'neihem Lema'an shemo be'ahava Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Lehoshia.
Your might, O God, renews the earth with dewdrops of light and blessing. Let the earth be illumined and blessed with dewdrops of joy and delight. Let the earth rejoice and sing out. With dewdrops of life and well-being, let the earth be revived and improved. With dewdrops of redemption, let the earth be redeemed. Libracha v'lo liklala, l'chaim v'lo l'mavet, l'sova v'lo lirazon. For blessing and not for curse, for life and not death, for abundance, not want.
Morid hatah, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Milchamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech be'mitz umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר,
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech kol haaretz, Kevodo.
אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו נאדיר שמך בכל הארץ.
Baruch Kevod Adonai Mimkomo.
חתו אלוהינו אבינו מלכנו ומשיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Yimloch Adonai leolam, Elohai Yisrael, ledor vador, Hallelujah.
לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד לך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך, קדושתך נקדיש, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך, קדושתך נקדיש. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד לך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד לך. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם, לעולם ועד. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We continue praying privately. Take your time. Take time with these texts, page 478. We continue, and when you feel that you've reached your moment of sacred silence, invite you to find your seat once more. We'll meet again on page 492. So we lift up one last communal kavanah before entering into our Hallel. And that is that we may remember that whatever it is that we build, that we source from chesed, that we start at chesed. If it's the only thing that I teach anyone ever, it's to source from chesed, sourcing from that place first of love and attunement to the humanity, to the love that is just the love of existence. So we'll take a few moments to pray that text aloud. Olam chesed yibaneh. Let us build, but let us build sourcing from love. Olam chesed yibaneh. Yararai, yararai. Olam chesed yibaneh, olam chesed yibaneh. Yararai, yararai. Olam chesed, olam chesed yibaneh. Yararai, yararai. Olam chesed yibaneh, la la la, yarai, yarai. I must build this world. I must to build this world from love. Yararai, yararai. And you must build, and you must to build this world from love. Yararai. And if we build this world, if we build this world, if we build this world from love, then God will build with us. Then God will build this world with us. A really good kavana as we move into the counting of our Omer tonight, and starting with Chesed, starting with if your practice is Fred, welcome, Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Prayer books right up in the front row. We rise for Hallel. You didn't know your timing was impeccable. And we rise up on our feet and we offer up these psalms in part. We won't do literally every word, but close. Baruch atah. Oh, I'm sorry. 560 for those in the Zoomiverse and the YouTuberverse as well. One more time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu likro et Hallel. Together, page 561. We start with Psalm 113. Hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai. Hallelujah, 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 Etem Adonai. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 Yehishem Adonai Mevorach. Hallelujah, hallelujah, me'ata ve'ado, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Page 562. Beit Yisrael mi Mitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am Roel. Beit Yisrael mi Mitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am Roel. הייתה יהודה לקודשו, ישראל לממשלותיו, הים רעב וינוס, הירדן ייסוב לאחור, ההרים רקדו כאלים גבעות, כבני צאן מלך הים. כי תנו הירדן תיסוב לאחור, ההרים תרקדו כאלים גבעות כבני צאן מלפני אדון כל הארץ, מלפני אלוהי יעקב, החופכי הצור אגם מים לעלמי למיינו מים. Page 565. Oh, middle page. הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם חסדו. יאמר נא ישראל כי לעולם חסדו, יאמרו נא ותרון כי לעולם חסדו, יאמרו נא ירא אדוני כי לעולם חסדו. Page 567. פיתחו לי שערי צדק, אבובה מאודיה. זה השער לאדוני, צדיקים יבואו בו. זה השער, זה השער לאדוני, צדיקים יבואו ועודך. כי עניתני ותהי לי לישועה עבדך. כי עניתני ותהי לי לישועה. אבן מעשו הבונים הייתה לראש פינה. אבן מעשו הבונים הייתה לראש פינה. ואת אדוני הייתה זאת היא נפלאת בעינינו. מת אדוני, מת אדוני הייתה זאת היא נפלאת בעינינו. זה היום עשה אדוני, נגילה ונשמחה. זה היום Adonai nagila ונשמחה בו. We just said this is the day of God. This one. Adonai Hoshiana. Adonai Hatzlichana. Adonai Hoshiana. Adonai Hatzlichana. הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם חסדו. יהללוך אדוני אלוהינו כי מעשיך וחסידיך צדיקים. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מהולל בתשבחות. We continue our service, please. I know you're tired, but we're going to continue our service on page 494 as we remain standing, as we remain rising for Torah.
אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך, מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. אהב הרחמים היטיבה ברצונך את ציון. תבנה חומות ירושלים, כבנה חומות ירושלים. כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך ארם ונישא, אדון עולמים. Ki mitzion tetze Torah. Ki mitzion tetze Torah. Udevar Adonai Merushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Yisrael Bigdushato. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum Vechanun. Rechapayim v'rav chesed ve'emet, notze chesed le'alafim, nose avon v'afesha v'chatat v'naker. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti, Uneromema Shemo Yagdav. Ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die die ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die die die. Ya die die ya die 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 ya die die die.
Thank you, thank you. So you may be seated in the room or at home. Tzodah Rabbah. So this morning, this first festival morning of Passover, also Shabbat, greatest gift when it's the same as Shabbat. Greatest, I think. You'll see when you're a rabbi and you have like a job and it's annoying. It's good. Friday night Seder is really, really wonderful. And Saturday morning, Shabbat and Chag is, I think, like one of the most festive mornings of the year. Like, it's an exciting morning. I know you're tired. I know all that stuff is true, but I'm really glad you're all here. So Pesach day one, you read from the early part of Exodus before we got, surprise, surprise, before we were released from bondage. That's where we start today. And actually, it's an interesting way that the rabbis conceive that it's not until the seventh day, later this week, that we really think of, I think it's the seventh day that we're supposed to, am I right about that? Like later in the week is when midrashically they really leave, right? Like it's later in the week. Am I wrong about that? Or is it on Shabbat? I can't remember. There's a midrash that's living with it. No, there's a midrash that there's a lot of discussion about it. And so I've heard people make reference, but the point is that our Seder is recalling, but the week of, we're really allowed to feel ourselves in each day uniquely. The Seder recalls and we visit with memory, but this morning we're allowed to feel truly, as we stand here, that we're back there, that we're in that moment. We're getting the word about where the blood should go, and we're figuring out how to be safe. And that's what we're bringing out in this first day of the Shabbat. I'm not teaching about the Torah portion, though. I'm going to just read it for you. And then Larry Westreich is going to uplift us by sharing, hopefully, some of the great wisdom that was uncovered this morning in the Torah study. And so now it is my great honor to invite up to our one and only Aliyah LaTorah this morning, Tina. And I'm going to invite you up, Tina, Ta'amod LaAliyah. Only Rishon, Tamar bat Aram Basara. Chizki v'nitchazek. My heart, it's earlier. Hold on one moment. No. Did it get re-rolled when it went back in? Yeah, thank you. Baruch Adonai Mevarach Leolam Va'ed. Amen. Tina, will you hold that mic? Amen. ויקרא משה לכל זקני ישראל ויאמר עליהם משכו וקחו לכם צאן למשפחותיכם ושחטו הפסח ולקחתם אגודת אזוב ודבלתם אדם אשר בסף והגעתם על המשקוף ואל שתי המזוזות מן אדם אשר בסף ואתם לא תצאו איש מתחתך ביתו עד בוקר. What's wrong with my mouth this morning? ועבר אדוני לנגוף את מצרים וראה את הדם על המשקוף ועל שתי המזוזות ופסח אדוני על הפתח ולא ייתן המשחית לבוא אל בתיכם לנגוף ושמרתם את הדבר הזה לקח לך ולבניך עד עולם. Here, first read the English for us.
Moses then summoned all the elders of Israel and said to them, "Go, pick out lambs for your families and slaughter the Passover offering. Take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and apply some of the blood that is in the basin to the lintel and to 2 doorposts. None of you shall go outside the door of your house until morning, for Adonai, when going through to smite the Egyptians, will see the blood on the lintel and the 2 doorposts, and Adonai will pass over the door and not let the destroyer enter and smite your home. You shall observe this as an institution for all time, for you and for your descendants."
Amen. Yishar kochech. Thank you for honoring us, Tina. We are going to lift, roll, and dress our Torah. We have already given out the honor for the lifting. Fred, would you help us dress our Torah? Thank you so much. But before, slicha b'vakasha, before we do that, I apologize. Just come and sit anywhere. Sit back down. I forgot. I'm sorry. Slicha, we're going to take a moment to pray for the healing of those in our lives who are in need of such healing. Richard, do you want to play for us? So we're gonna just take a moment. we're gonna take a moment to say names either aloud or to just call them forward in internally in your own presence. Either if you'd like to put names in the chat, of course, our friends online, or if you're home and you'd like to say them aloud, just take a moment to call them, thinking of the people that you know are in any kind of challenge today, spiritually, physically. Visheberach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And so now I call Herb and Fred back up. Please, bevakasha, to help us lift and dress our Torah and invite all who are able to please rise. I'm going to flip it around to you. Does that feel like a good spot? Well, okay. It was better back there or all the way around? Okay. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה ישמחו השמיים ישמחו השמיים ישמחו השמיים put the binder this way תגל הארץ יהי רמיים ומלואו יהי רמיים ומלואו. Thank you both. We are going to keep our Torah, everyone may be seated. We're going to keep our Torah out. I'll just hang out with her while we read from our Haftarah this morning, which is from the book of Yehoshua, yes? Joshua, and which you can follow along once again in your these inserts that Ronnie created for us for today. The brachot, Ronnie, they are on?
They are on page 512. Anyone's wondering why we're fumbling over pages, we only use this book for Chag. So. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar binviim tovim veratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Abocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'inviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayomer Adonai el Yehoshua hayom galoti et cherpat Mitzrayim me'alechem vayikra Shem hamakom hahu Gilgal ad hayom hazeh vayachanu v'nei Yisrael b'Gilgal Vaya'asu et ha'pasach ve'arba'a asar yom lachodesh ba'erev ve'arvot Yericho vayochelu me'avor ha'aretz mimochorat ha'pesach matzot v'kalu be'etzem hayom hazeh. Vayishbot Haman mimochorat ve'ochlam me'avor ha'aretz v'lo haya od lifnei Yisrael man va'yochelu mitvuat eretz Canaan b'shana ha'hi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Sorry. B'chol hadorot ha'el hanem.
המדבר ומקיים.
שכל דבריו אמת וצדק על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה ועל יום חג המצות הזה.
שנתת
לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לששון ולשמחה לכבוד ולתפארת על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת וישראל והזמנים.
Amen. Yeshar kochach. We rise once more to return our Torah to the Aron HaKodesh on page
514. Yalalu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado, Odo haaretz v'shamayim, vayaren keren le'amo, tehila lechol chasidav, Lifnei Israel Am Kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
וכך טוב נתתי לכם תורתי אל תעזובו עצי חיים
חי למרכזים קיבל ותומכיה מאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש חדש ימינו חדש ימינו כקדם.
be seated. So it is my honor, my privilege to call up my friend and our teacher for this Shabbat of Pesach's morning, Larry Westrake, who is he's going to drash for us. And you're welcome to sit or stand. I'm going to move the camera was moved back. Fantastic.
About 3 months ago, my sister Jane came down with COVID. She's vaccinated. She came through fine, but she had to quarantine for 10 days, which she did in the basement of their Milwaukee home. Luckily, they have a bedroom down there. They have her workout room and they have a bathroom. So it was all fine. My brother cooked for her and he told me that he called his rabbi to fill him in on Jane's illness and asked if there was any food which would be best from a Jewish perspective. Without missing a beat, the rabbi said, yes, absolutely, matzah. My brother was confused and he said, Rabbi, Passover isn't for 2 or 3 months. I know matzah is called the bread of affliction and she's afflicted with COVID. Is that what it is? The rabbi said, you're missing the point. Easy to slip under the door. And it'll sustain her and keep you safe. I don't want you to get sick also. I want to talk about matzah, which we're all going to be involved with for the next 7 days or so. Part of the Torah portion today reads in one of the many mentions of matzah in the Torah, Bamidbar 28:17, and on the 15th day of that month, a festival. Unleavened bread shall be eaten for 7 days. So why did the Israelites eat unleavened bread? Not rhetorical. Why did they eat unleavened bread? They were in a rush. That's your usual answer. I'm going to get there. But they were in a rush is a good explanation. And it's backed up in many places in the Torah. where Hashem says, while he's done whacking the Egyptian firstborn males in Shemot, he says, the Egyptians urged the people on, impatient to have them leave the country, for they said, we shall all be dead. So the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading bowls wrapped in their cloaks upon their shoulders. The only problem with this, we were in a hurry, so we didn't have time to let the bread rise, is that it makes no sense in the context of the story. First, it's contradicted immediately in Lachma Anya section of the Haggadah, which it says, this is the bread of affliction, which our forefathers ate in Egypt. They ate it in Egypt before they left, and it was a symbol of affliction, the bread of Anya, which in Aramaic is translated here as affliction, as poverty in the Gemara, distress elsewhere, constipation in New Jersey, but it's bad. It's clearly not a good thing. And a teacher I listen to a lot, Rabbi David Wolpe, says it's really cool that Jews have transmogrified this symbol of slavery into a symbol of freedom. Later in Devarim 16, we hear, you shall slaughter the Passover sacrifice for your God from the flock and the herd in the place where Adonai will choose to establish the divine name. You shall not eat anything leavened with it for 7 days thereafter. So evidently, they were having a meal of lamb and matzah before they left Egypt. The passage tries to walk this back and says, before they even left, because it says, you departed from the land of Egypt hurriedly so that you may remember the day of your departure from the land of Egypt as long as you live. Okay, but that's too late. The matzah may have become a symbol of haste, but it wasn't invented because of haste. Another reason the haste idea doesn't make any sense is the Israelites couldn't have not known that a big journey was coming up. After all of Moses' loud kvetching about letting the people go, Hashem had already imposed 9 plagues upon the Egyptians in a very public and splashy way. If you didn't notice the frogs or the lice or the cattle disease, you would have noticed the darkness. Clearly, it would be wise to pack a bag and some chow for the road. The purported surprise of the Israelites seems to me like being surprised at the end of a 9-month pregnancy that you have to pack a bag for the hospital. Really? I'm not the first one to notice this oddity. From a historical perspective, there is a school of thought that our Pesach is a convenient combination of at least 2 holidays, one the Feast of Unleavened Bread and a celebration of the escape from Egypt. I know this isn't history class, Rick, so we're not going to go there today. Many explanations of the importance of matzah focus on the nature of time, our use of it, and our connection with the physical world and that which isn't the physical world. The Maharal, who was a 16th century rabbi from Prague, explained that matzah is the only food whose manufacture demands that it be created without time and as quickly as possible. The prohibition of leavening also teaches us that nature does not operate independently, but is controlled by God. Traditionally, the dough cannot be left more than 18 minutes before it is considered risen and therefore inappropriate for Pesach. I'm a baker, and I love the notion that God appears to control nature. The rabbis observed that although they never put any yeast into their flour and water for the matzah, if they left it on the counter, it would take in yeast magically, it appeared to them, from the air, and it would rise. The symbolism of the flat, plain matzah, as compared to the puffed up nature of regular bread, can remind us to compare the tension of plain, honest self-examination versus the ego demands for selfishness, which we all struggle with. An even better observation about the nature of time comes from the sages who observed that the phrase mitzvah of matzah sounds pretty groovy, and the words are spelled similarly anyway, so they made the most out of this similarity. There's a Talmudic saying which goes, mitzvah shehaba'a liyadcha al tachmit zena. When a mitzvah comes to your hand, do not allow it to ferment. Literally, don't let it become chametz. So that puts an 18-minute clock on the thought of doing a mitzvah and starting it. In this meditation on time, we are reminded not to stand around thinking for too long before we act on a mitzvah opportunity. Acting quickly in the commission of a mitzvah and representing an image of Hashem is at least one message we can take from the Pesach mitzvah. My brother wanted to sustain and care for his wife, but in the spirit of pikuach nefesh, didn't want to get sick himself. It fits under the door very easily. Chag Sameach.
Yeah, it's extraordinarily important to notice all the ways in which our tradition isn't trying to cover up inconsistencies, right? But instead acknowledging that we have a lot of stories to tell. We have multiple ways in which we can understand and feel connected to a mitzvah, but the notion that if it sits in our hand too long, it turns into chametz, I will carry that with me. Thank you. We rise once more for Aleinu.
Page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל,
לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
invite you to please be seated once more. Invite you to turn not to the page that's written there. 598, please. Our thoughts now turn to those we love who have passed from life, as is the way of our people. Through our recitation of Kaddish, we honor their lives by praising God for letting us walk at their sides and they at ours for even our little time. And so I invite you, if you are so inclined, to individually rise at your seat as I call the name of your loved one. And in the spirit of loved ones in our community, we want to elevate that loved ones means loved ones. You decide, and it is an important and essential part of how our community understands Kaddish and understands remembering, that we have full authorship about who it is that we rise for, and who it is that we say Kaddish for. And so I invite you to rise if you are so inclined, and then of course in solidarity we will all join together. This day, I'm going to read all of these names. We did not have Shabbat last night and didn't have a chance for people to say Kaddish. We didn't have a Shabbat service, is what I meant. Louis Abramson, Sidney Ackerman Jr., Bella Busson, Andrew Cohen, Rosa Cohen, Elizabeth Dix, Connie Duchin, Moshe Ehrlich, Neil Robert Elson, John Gary, Clara Gross, Jack Guest, Abraham Gussoff, Morris Hassan, Sidney Horowitz, Gary Jacobs, Stanley Jacobson, Harry Kahaner, Max Abraham Khan, Rebecca Katz, Sadie Katz, Harry Lawrence, Phyllis Mallister, John H. McNamara, Ann Meyer, Razel Mishanek, Samuel E. Myers, Marvin Nyberg, Sam Nussbaum, Samuel Power, Theodore Pazer, Muriel Rifkin, Shirley Sayar, Francis Simkowski, Joseph Singman, Esther Skolnick, Sarah Spiller, Hetty Tellerman, Rosalind Wagner, David Weingast, Samuel Weistein, Kermit Wellner, Morris W. Ween, Blanche Zeman, Jared Zimmerman, and Aaron Ziv. And for those who are in their Shiva and Shloshim periods of mourning, Lynn Adler, beloved stepmother of Deb Alper, Quentin Palmer, beloved son of Casey and Jack Palmer, Nan Barson, beloved aunt of Emily Goldberg, Miriam Schlang, beloved mother of Nami Rotke, and finally our congregant, Herbert Stein. And in addition, please rise and share the name of anyone whom you are observing a yahrzeit that may not have been on this list. And finally, if there's anyone here who's in their 1 year period of mourning who'd like to stand and share with us the name of your loved one, we invite you to say so. Now, in support of those standing before us, of course, and in the remembrance of the 6 million, I invite all of us to rise, if it is your custom, and to join with the mourners in the recitation of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlech malchuteh, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה לשמי דקדושה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירם בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו amen. Please be seated. We're going to just finish up in a moment with a Passover fave, but also any announcements, anything that we should let people know about that is really in the next few days. Tonight is the second night Seder. I'm sure people already know where they're headed tonight, but if you are not able to come to our Seder tonight, I mean, if you have you would love, Meredith, if you would like to attend our Seder tonight, you can, but you would have to come only virtually, I believe, at this point, because I don't think that there's food for enough extras. Anything else to keep in mind? We have lots going on when we return from Pesach, but let's just chill.
But before Pesach is over,
Yeah.
we do need a minyan next Shabbat as well.
True. Shabbat morning. We'd love to have you back.
So call your friends, call your neighbors, call everybody.
Thank you. It'll be a little easier. And Ronnie and Rick and Larry and Herb and Fred and Tina, and really everyone, thank you for participating. Marge, for everybody. Noah, just for being great. We're
being
gonna
here.
end with a little Dainu Ilu Hotzi Hotzi Anu
598.
Hotzi Anu Mi Mitzrayim Hotzi Anu Mi Mitzrayim Dainu Dai Dainu Dai Dainu Dai Dainu 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 Dai Dainu Dai Dainu Dai Dainu 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 Ilu Natan lanu eta Torah Natan lanu eta Torah Dainu. There we go. Dai Dainu Dai Dainu Dai Dainu 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 Dai Dainu Dai Dainu Dai Dainu Dainu Shabbat. Eilu natan lanu et Shabbat natan lanu et Shabbat Dainu last time Dai Dainu Dai Dainu Dai Dainu 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 Dai Dainu Dai Dainu Dai Dainu Dainu Dainu. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Thank you to everybody on the Zoomiverse. Shabbat Shalom. I did want to make one quick announcement that I remembered, which is that on Friday night, we are going to do Yizkor. On Friday night, not on Saturday morning. Okay? Friday night, we're doing Yizkor. We are not going to do it in both places. We're going to just do Yizkor on Friday night. And on Saturday morning, we are going to unless I change my mind about that in this next week. But we are definitely doing Yizkor in the evening for sure. And I think that the rabbi and I have decided that will be the only time that we do Yizkor during Pesach this year, and see how that goes for our people. But open to thoughts and feelings about that once it's happened.